Hello, this is a video on Harold Pinter. Harold Pinter was a screenwriter and playwright from the theatre of the absurd. He wrote very terse dialogues, used meaningful pauses in his plays, and this is famous as the techniques of Pinter, the Pinteresque techniques. Pinter pause, Pinter silence, etc. we talk about. He wrote comedies of menace. That means people are in menacing situations. They are in claustrophobic and menacing situations, and they are under threat. There is paranoia, and this represents metaphorically a post-war world which is wrought with violence. Pinter was also himself traumatized by the Second World War, and he won the Nobel Prize for his absolutely brilliant plays in 2005. His plays are characterized by rambling ambiguities and silences of everyday conversation. I mentioned the term comedy of menace. Comedy of menace was originally coined by David Campton in his own play, The Lunatic View. David Campton, Nigel Dennis, they were the other writers of comedies of menace. Comedies of menace are usually very short, set in claustrophobic spaces. Claustrophobic means you feel scared in a small space. It is a very oppressive small space, and characters are always in doubt and fear. And there will be some menace on them, some unexplained violence happening to them, etc. The very important plays of comedies of menace are The Birthday Party, The Dumb Waiter, The Caretaker, Homecoming, Silence, etc. And as I told you, it is a genre written by others also, like Nigel Dennis, N.F. Simpson, David Campton, etc. The first play by Harold Pinter came in 1957, and it is called The Room. It is a very symbolic play that Pinter wrote in a few days' time, in 3-4 days' time. And as the title suggests, it is set in a small room. And there is a family living there, Rose and Bert. The play focuses on Rose, and this room is like a solace for she cannot exist outside the room. She cannot go out. She cannot even think about leaving this house. And there is a man living in the downstairs flat. This is a big flat, but only a few rooms are there, and there are many tenants. And there is a man living in the downstairs flat. And in the play, very inexplicably, the husband Bert is killing this man, the man staying in the basement. And this is a naturalistic play that is showing a lot of terror and the fear of people in belonging to this world. And this man also represents death. The fear of death is constantly there, and Rose is also ultimately going to die. We are all going to die, like Beckett shows in his novels like Murphy, Malone Dies, etc. So the foreboding of death and some great calamity that you're going to experience, and then you're trying to hide from it. This concept of hiding is there in the other important play, The Birthday Party also. Stanley Weber is the protagonist. He is a man in his 30s, supposed to be a musician. We don't see him playing music or anything. And he's living in a dingy boarding house, probably hiding from something. We don't know what is his past life, what is he hiding from. In the play, the owners of the boarding house, Peter and Meg, are like surrogate parents to Stanley. And two boarders come, Goldberg and McCann. And again, inexplicably, they interrogate Stanley. They ask him questions, and we audience doesn't understand what is the meaning of these questions, because it's not about a regular interrogation. But then Stanley is increasingly troubled, and the questions also become increasingly absurd. Finally, they ask, why did the chicken cross the road? Stanley cannot answer. Stanley has gone out of his mind. What is the meaning of this? This is an irrational world and we are living here. Anything can happen to us at any time. We are guilty of some existential crimes. If you have read Kafka, you'll understand. His trial is also like this. Someone must have slandered Joseph K. because for no reason on his 30th birthday, he's arrested. And exactly after 1 year, he tries desperately in Kafka's trial. Joseph K. tries desperately to escape from the trial and from the prison. He's not imprisoned because our life itself is prison. You don't have to be put in a prison. We are like imprisoned in this life itself. And at the end, when 1 year is over on his 31st birthday, Joseph K. is killed. He is stabbed to death. Like that, Stanley is also punished for some existential crimes. It is not clear what he has done. It is not clear how he can escape from it. It is a very frightening situation, very universal also. It is like any one of us can go through this. In this totalitarian society that we live in, the kind of dictatorship where ordinary people have no value. Their life is always under threat of some, terrifying experience or punishment that will come to us. So these are the ambiguities of life that Pinter is portraying in his plays. How absurd and meaningless life is. How on the brink of sanity we live. It is almost like an insane world and always living in threat with some unnamed guilt. How lonely and isolated people are. Do we really experience freedom? Like Rousseau said, we are all apparently free. We are not even arrested. But are we free? We are like imprisoned in our own life, in our own situation. This is exactly the theme of the next play also, The Dumb Waiter. Ben and Gus are two gunmen. They are waiting in a basement room for the next consignment, but they do not know that one of them is the next victim. Ben is supposed to kill Gus. That Gus doesn't know. When Gus goes out and comes in for a minute, Ben is pointing his gun at him, and whether Ben will shoot him or not is not clear. We are all living in a world where it's a dog-eat-dog world, competing with each other. Many of you are preparing for exams. Do we really have the opportunity to care for each other or help each other? It is a race that we are living in. Our life is like a race, and we have to cut down our neighbor in order to proceed. A very madly competitive capitalistic world that we are living in. And it is a metaphor. Dumb waiter is a metaphor between. By the way, dumb waiter is a food lift that is coming down and going up, and it's a very absurd thing because the food lift is coming with some order for food. There is nobody to prepare food here. It is only Ben and Gus. They inform whoever is sending the order, there is nobody to prepare food. There is no food here, but the orders keep coming. It is so funny. So what is the meaning, as you are thinking, what is the meaning of this play? Like that, what is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of our existence? What is the meaning of everything that we are doing? Why am I making this video? For whom? Are you really watching it and enjoying it? I don't know. And why are you all striving? What are we going to attain in this life at the end? Until our voice stops, we will go on working, trying to get something or the other. Mad life, isn't it? I am not demoralizing you. I'm just explaining the plays of Pinter, okay? Without some negativity, I can't explain Pinter. So the ambivalences of life, what is good and evil? When is death coming for us? Is it really possible to escape whatever horrifying things is in store for us? The same kind of menace is there in the next two plays, The Caretaker and Homecoming. In Caretaker, there are two brothers, Aston and Mick. And Aston is bringing home a tramp, an old tramp called Davies. And this tramp is like terrifying everybody in the house, and he's like taking over. And finally, Aston has to see to it that Davies is disappearing. So this is a play, that is so absurd because the characters are all telling each other's lies. It is obvious. What is the name of this tramp? Who is he? What does it mean by a family? Because these two are brothers, Aston and Mick, but there is no family relationship or care between them. And the nature of power that works upon all of us. That is also a very important theme in Caretaker. In Homecoming, similarly, family is problematized. There is power working on all the characters. What is the meaning of love or relationships? People are all frustrated and searching for something or the other. What happens in Homecoming is Teddy and Ruth are coming home. Teddy used to work in the US. He's a professor, he's an educated man, and he's bringing home his wife Ruth from the US to England. His family members are not educated. They're all men. Father's brother, then his own brothers, Teddy's brothers, etc. Almost all of them are like crazy people, and they're very lonely people, desperate for love and care. And you know what? Ruth is also desperate and manipulative. She becomes both like a mother as well as a whore in that house. And when Teddy finally wants to, the horrifying thing is it's all so normal. Nobody is actually, except for the father's brother, nobody is actually really worried about what is happening here. And at the end, what happens is Teddy wants to go back to the US. The entire family tells him, okay, Ruth is going to stay here. She's going to work as a prostitute. She'll also be like a prostitute or a whore to the rest of the men. And Teddy accepts it. Ruth also accepts it. Happily, Teddy goes and Ruth stays there. Can you believe that? This is the play, The Homecoming. So how terrible people are feeling in this life, how lonely they are. They are so desperate. They are living in the extremes, the end point of life, kind of. And there is so much anger and hatred and loss of values. And the very play problematizes reality. What is appearance and reality, and how can you differentiate it from artificiality or pretension? These are the ambiguities of existence that are discussed in these plays. And all these plays are about language and silence, where language fails, and how far can you represent human experience in language. These are very important themes in Pinter's plays. And also power and politics, morality, sexuality. These are all underlying themes in Pinter. A very powerful playwright who has dramatized the traumas and the ambiguities of post-war existence. Harold Pinter. I hope you liked this video.